Hello, welcome to episode 3 of PEP Talk. In this episode we'll be talking about our third and final year on this course.
Please get a box of tissues ready for laughter or crying, and it's a sad time. So third year.
Third year it all becomes a bit of a reality. For me, when I entered third year, I knew that it was kind of the make or break year, where I'm going to bring together everything that I've learned, bring together all the experiences I've got, and work on some projects that really matter and are substantial to me and people around me.
And how happy are you that it's like you've got this chance now to do what you want to do, like focus solely on your passion, no side projects or other projects, all your concentrations on this one thing, one output?
It was scary because my first half of this year, I was very much trying to find out what it was that I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So I embarked on, did a few kind of fashion videos.
Yeah.
I worked on a men's mental health project, and then talking with my lecturers and talking with myself, I kind of figured that I was getting bored of things. I could package a project. I could do it well. I could execute it well, but I wouldn't be fully engaged with it.
Okay.
So I was finding that a little bit frustrating, as to trying to find out what it is that I want to do.
So you couldn't see your niche straight away until the second part of third year. Would that be correct? You were
So I couldn't. Yeah,
dipping your toes in.
Couldn't see what it is I really wanted to do, and then obviously understanding that this was a space to find that, I was a bit frustrated that I couldn't. So that first half of the year was still lots of learning and, like I said, trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've come into the second half of the year finding myself with a project now which caters to everything that I was feeling.
Yeah.
I can now work on different projects, simultaneously, and package things how I want them.
Yeah.
And I can direct this beyond university. I can collaborate.
So this tiptoe, you're wetting your feet in the first term. How did you feel? Quite nervous?
Very nervous, yeah.
Did you feel like by Christmas you needed to know what you wanted to be?
Yes. And that was put a bit of pressure on me. Don't know if I produced my best work because of that. Yeah. But I also feel that it was essential.
Okay.
What about yourself? Coming into third year?
Yeah, coming in third year, happier than the second year. But yeah, first term was a bit shaky, I think. I lost confidence within, not my work, but just myself. So I did a lookbook for fashion. I did every 30, which just taking photos every 30 minutes at a place I hadn't been to. What else did I do? I did some little top trump cards. So I was pretty much scratching at ideas, and it didn't really have an output, and that got mentioned when I saw handed in my work, that there wasn't a clear output for these things. There was some way of outputting it. So for the fashion lookbook, for example, everything was to do was about plastic. So I should have probably put some plastic statistics within the fashion industry in there, and maybe found clean the beach stuff and how that's getting used into fashion, and just broaden it. But I'm not unhappy that I didn't, because I wasn't in the mind frame of thinking like that. What I created was with the sleeve was plastic bags all heat pressed on. So the cover was the actual fabric that was used within the fashion clothing. So that was the biggest success, was thinking differently and using textures for book rather than just giving in a plain book with photos on and some writing. But yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like, I knew I liked fashion, and like I found it pretty easy to do. With having like friends who are on fashion, and they're always looking for photographers. So yeah, it's changed now in second year because obviously I'm doing nothing to do with fashion. I've tried to implement it, but everyone's deadline is a bit different, and collaborating within university is slightly harder in third year when everyone's on their deadlines at different times and everyone's just focused on their output, which is fair enough. So it's all about endurance sport, but packaging 4 sports in one magazine rather than 4 separate mags.
So you found yourself in this position in second term with one project ahead of you?
Yeah.
That was to...
And that was to make a magazine where 4 sports can be celebrated, with the hope of you'd look at your sport you're interested in and then go and read the rest of them, because the movement is obviously the sport, but the stories aren't really about sport. They're more about opening up mental health, being outdoors, celebrating what Cornwall has to offer to people, and trying to showcase that. So you've got like Jake Alderman, who's a St. Piran cyclist, the nearest velodrome's in Torbay.
Yeah.
Like, you've got swimmers, freshwater swimmers, don't really hear anything about them. They just go out on their own at the Battery in Penzance. You've got Flushing and Myla Gig Club, which unless you knew about, or you just look at them on the river, you wouldn't know that they're a bunch of 60-year-olds going into the Isles of Scilly Isles to do a world tour race. So it's like stories like that where they're in plain sight, but you don't see them unless you've either lived here for a long time or caught word in the paper.
And you're excited about what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm excited about what I'm doing because been engaging with like editors and stuff on Twitter or Instagram, and like they've been liking my work and helping me with like conversations. So the whole plan for this project is to make it have an output of my audience of Jur, which is already there, but to then also give it to the people in charge of these magazines where I want to work or who I want to work for. And like, so basically I've been celebrating their magazines. I did like a week of like shout outs for different mags each day, and like got a reply within like 12 hours. So like it was pretty sick. They were taking notice of people atting them on Twitter, and yeah, it's cool just so they have an inkling of my name, like, which is all I needed, because once uni's finished I will go give them each a magazine, and then they'll have a physical thing with my name.
Yeah.
And then it's my CV without being a physical, just written CV. So yeah.
And that's what's been really good about this last term, is that this project that we had was to target the 4th year, and my project, similar to yours, was to create a publication where I could work on different projects and bring it all together. And grow an audience and receive a following and receive constant feedback.
Yeah.
So for me, with my Verb magazine, it's been really like insightful as to like what's achievable, and also it's taken me 6 terms to really get good at organising my time.
Yeah.
I've realised this term, from being good and organised with my time from the word go, from January and February, has benefited me now.
Yeah.
And considering what's ahead of me, I am way less stressed now than I was at the end of last term or the end of the term before that.
Yeah,
or the end of the term before that.
I understand that. Like that, I think at the start I was probably more stressful than I've ever been, because I'm like, see everyone doing these shoots and I'm like, I haven't even picked up the camera yet. And like, but then all that hard work starting to like pay off and the puzzles are starting to fit together. And like, for me, I'm starting to get happier about it. Like, I know what's gonna be achieved at the end date, but for me, that end date isn't my like finished goal. If anything, it's the end of me to give people what I want to do.
Exactly.
To just like dot the I's, cross the T's, like make it how I physically want to make it, not just for a hand in.
It's amazing because we're not putting this just in front of our lecturers.
No.
But we're potentially putting this in front of employers. And I know other students, whatever projects they've got, they will also have this in mind. So it's been really, I can effectively already say, I can probably pat myself on the back and say, the 3 years at university, coming down to this last project, reflects that. So everything that I do now has been taught from the word go.
Yeah.
And it's benefited what I do now.
It's strange talking about, because obviously I haven't physically finished yet, but it's only a week, if that.
Technically talking about the end.
And like those 3 years have, like the lecturer said, pretty much flown by. Like this last year's just disappeared. It still feels like it should be like February.
I remember them saying at the start, you've got 12 to 14 weeks. And they said it will fly by. And here we are, a week before. But I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets with projects I've done. I don't have any regrets with stuff that I've chosen to shoot or the way I've carried myself, because it's made me and my work what it is today. And I'm confident with that going into.
And can you see the noticeable difference from first year to now?
100%.
Like,
We're both in an industry where some people will argue the case where, do you need to go to university to do what you want to do? And I would bite the hand off and say, look, I wouldn't be the photographer, the journalist, the creative that I am today without being here and learning what I've learned. Not just learning from the lecturers, learning from myself and through experiences.
And other people.
And other people, working with designers or people working on fashion, and the list is endless. And
I think the suction away from London has been a pretty good thing, because you get quite lost in London, like, because there's every corner you take, there's some other photographer, whereas down here, like, I think it's a bit more stretched back. Like, there's not these millions of stories. You have to physically go and find these stories. Like, there's no easy story. Like you don't have a car, for example.
No,
like
difficult.
That's made your stories a lot harder to find than for me. I have a car, so I can go slightly further. And like the same for some other people. Like, you literally have to find and talk to people, whereas I feel like in some other unis you don't have to try and find that connection so fast, because there's always something on.
And there's always something new to be found, to be photographed, to be talked about. And I can't wait to keep doing that. Having the arsenal that I've got now to make that happen.
Yeah, it's that collaboration. Like, I've done more collaboration in the last 2 terms than I have in the first 2 years. I think that's the confidence within myself and saying it's just going to be a yes or a no, which has led me to then be like, well, they're either going to look at the magazine or they're not. It's the same thing. It goes in the bin or it doesn't. There's no stress on me.
No.
Like, I won't know either way unless they call or email me. So I don't mind giving all these things out, because it is knocking at doors. Like, eventually one's going to get opened. You can't knock a million times and have a no. Exactly.
And now's the time for knocking.
Yeah.
More than ever before.
Yeah. What are your next steps then? How's this term sort of leapfrogged you to what you want to do next?
This term has told me what it is I want post-university.
Okay.
It's told me that I don't just want to be a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just want to go out looking for a job as a freelance photographer or an in-house photographer. Some of the projects I've been doing, I've been designing, I've been writing, I've been organising, and I would love to be part of a team where, there's many of us with individual skill sets
So that
working on
like
large collaborative
creative
projects.
agency sort of
Like
feel.
a creative agency, exactly. And I crave the uncomfortable. Coming from a quiet village,
Mm-hmm.
coming to university in a quiet town, I crave the buzz of somewhere like London,
Yeah.
and I crave the opportunity to work on big projects. But it's only now, because of this term, that I know that, one, I'm believing in myself
Yeah.
and that I'm capable, and two, that I actually know what I want.
So when you first came to join uni, obviously that answer wouldn't have been said. Like if I was asking you for the first week, first term, like what do you want to be when you finish uni? What do you think your answer would have been?
You know, I've always had a love for action sports and adventure sports, and that love will never go.
Mm.
And my first ambitions were within that industry, taking photos.
Yeah.
And now I just see a far bigger picture than that. I still see that as achievable. I see the whole industry that I want to go in is a respect thing. Like time and work will earn you respect.
Yeah.
And with respect comes the opportunity to do even more of the things that you love and that you want to do. But I still crave different things and different projects. What about you? Starting from when you first came to university and what your ambitions were for now to what your ambitions actually are.
So starting university, to be honest, I don't know why did uni. So I don't think I really had any ambitions. I just knew I wanted to do something with photography. I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go or what I wanted to shoot. I just knew I wanted to have a camera and being able to do that. So there weren't really major ambitions. Like compared to now, I sort of know I want to do more like sport-based, but not classical football, rugby, like that sport. I want to do the wider ranges of sports. So the cycling, the running, the swimming, the rowing, like ones that have a bit more passion. Not saying that footballers don't, but you know, it's not as hard as trying to be a Olympic cyclist or something. So yeah, doing that and looking more at fashion and trying to intertwine the two, maybe. But yeah, I'd never wanted to be a freelancer. That is never going to be the goal for after uni anyway. If I wanted to either go into a business or assist a photographer and learn from that business or photographer to then feel comfortable enough to have like a set of clients from people to then feel like I could actually then go and be a freelancer rather than just coming out like every other photography student, setting up a business and doing like small poxy jobs. Like the fact that
It's that respect thing again, isn't it?
yeah, it's that, and it's feeling comfortable and knowing I'll have jobs lined up, not I'm going to wait a week and then I have to get a normal job and then wait another 3 weeks for a photography gig. Like then I might not be able to do it because the main income of my job means I have to work that day and I'd have to turn it down. Like so yeah, doing that. But I'd definitely say in collaborating with more people and with all the people I've collaborated with, keeping in touch with them and building relationships, working relationships with them to help each other out. So for example, like we're doing the West Brom Puma kit, like I wouldn't have got that if I didn't photograph Heather's fashion piece in second year.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have seen his work and I definitely wouldn't have known him if I didn't know her.
Who you know basis.
Exactly, which is what you need to do to be a freelancer. Is you need to know people before you go in with your head in the sand and don't know anyone. So yeah, I don't really say that answered your question at all, but
I think it
that
did.
is your answer.
I think it did. So that's where we stand, and that's where we are now, with 1 week left until we hand in. And
Yeah,
effectively university's coming to an end.
yeah, and then it's into the real world, as everyone says.
Yeah, exactly.
No handouts. But I think the fact that I feel very much set out and know what I need to do to carry on for this like 4th year like it just needs to keep looking at it as like 4th year, 5th year, and knowing that we'll always have the support of the lecturers if we need like help or need a contact, like that will be there, and having like you and the rest of the peers, and there's that, like everyone's going to be their support group. Obviously there'll be smaller support groups, but hopefully our year's finally found out that everyone needs to shout about each other, because there's thousands of other students who won't be shouting about each other, obviously. Hopefully that becomes more apparent.
Well, thank you guys for listening to all of our episodes, and it has come to an end. We send out our thanks and our love to everybody that's helped us along the way, and thank you for listening.
And either PEP Talk is still patented to us, so you can't use that.
Thank you very much.